We're talking about the people on the Mount Rushmore of basketball are the only people to have the kind of game Steph Curry just had. So
13 guys that, legitimately could be in our NBA rotation, and you got to be able to figure out the right combinations, and everybody has to commit to.
We need to have the discussion as to whether or not this man is the greatest point guard who has ever lived, because when you're talking about impact.
What if I told you that right now, there are NBA players who don't even want to step on the court? It's true. The Warriors are back, and they're not just winning games, they're crushing souls. We're talking about pro athletes, some of the best in the world, feeling like they should just stay home. But it gets crazier. Remember when people said the Warriors were done? When Klay got injured and KD left? Yeah, about that. We're about to show you how the Warriors didn't just come back, they came back stronger. And the rest of the league? They're not ready. Remember when everyone thought the Warriors were done? When KD packed his bags for Brooklyn and Klay's knee gave out? Man, those were dark days in the Bay. The team that dominated the NBA for years suddenly looked lost. They went from finals fixtures to the league's worst record in 2020. It was rough, but hold up, because this season, it's like someone flipped a switch. The Warriors aren't just back. They're destroying teams like it's 2016 all over again. You should have seen their preseason games. It was straight up unfair. They were running circles around other teams, dropping threes like they were layups, and making pro players look like they forgot how to play basketball. Let's talk numbers for a second. Last year, the Warriors were middle of the pack in offense, barely cracking the top 20. This year, they're leading the league in points per game, assists, and three-pointers made. Their net rating jumped from +0.1 to a ridiculous +11.2. That's not an improvement. That's a complete transformation.
Or dropping. I mean, it's hard to put into words the greatness of this dude. But he put it on display and basically put the world on notice.
So what's behind this crazy turnaround? Sure, they got some new pieces that fit perfectly. But let's be real. It all comes down to one man, Steph Curry. The baby-faced assassin is playing like he found the fountain of youth or something. At 37 years old, when most players are thinking about retirement, Steph is putting up numbers that rival his unanimous MVP season.
The committee, the strength in numbers again that we've adopted over the last 10 years of this run is in full effect this year. We have
definitively stating it. I had to be educated, Jalen, by the Godfather. I had to be educated by other Hall of Famers who will remain nameless.
We're talking about 30-plus points per game, shooting over 40% from three on insane volume, and doing it all with that swagger that makes defenders want to just give up and go home. It's like watching a video game character with all the cheat codes turned on. Steph isn't just back. He's better than ever. And he's making the entire Warriors team look unstoppable. But here's the thing, Steph's resurgence is just the beginning. You want to know what's really got other teams shaking in their sneakers? It's not just about Curry. The Warriors have something brewing that might be even scarier than Steph's hot hand. And remember when teams used to pray for Curry to sit so they could catch a break? Those days are long gone. The Warriors have unlocked a new level of scary, and it's not just because of Steph. What if I told you Golden State's second unit is giving star players nightmares? We're not just talking about a solid bench here. This might be the deepest Warriors team ever, and that's saying something for a franchise that's seen multiple championships. While other top teams are leaning hard on their superstars, the Warriors are coming at you with waves of talent. It's like they've got two starting lineups.
To that, it's not going to be easy. Our starting lineups could change from night to night.
We need to have the discussion as to whether or not this man is the greatest point guard who has ever lived, because when you're talking about impact.
Take Jonathan Kuminga, for example. This guy's playing like his next meal depends on it, and in a way, it does. He's fighting for that contract, and it shows every time he steps on the court. Then you've got Trayce Jackson-Davis, a rookie who's playing like he's been in the league for years. These aren't just garbage time players, they're game changers. But it doesn't stop there. The Warriors' second unit is so good, they could probably hold their own against some of the weaker teams in the league.
And the fact that he could affect so many things because of his shooting ability. I've never seen anything like it.
They'll play in team. They'll play in team.
That's not trash talk. That's just facts. When your bench is outscoring entire starting lineups, you know you've got something special. And let's not forget about guys like Gary Payton II and Kayvon Looney. They're finally healthy and ready to make some noise. These aren't just warm bodies to fill the roster. These are players who can swing a game in Golden State's favor at any moment. Here's where it gets really interesting. All this depth, it's not just about having good players. It's about options. The Warriors can throw so many different looks at you. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube that keeps changing colors. One minute you're dealing with a small ball lineup that's raining threes. The next, you're up against a defensive unit that's locking everything down.
Not in the since the merger, not, in the era of this or that or these combination garbage statistics.
You've made it clear that you're still playing to win. You've done plenty of that. It's a new group. There's some new faces, some youth trying to figure out how it all fits together.
And when the playoffs roll around, that's when this depth is really going to shine. Other teams will be running their stars into the ground, but the Warriors, they'll be fresh. They can outlast you, outrun you, and just when you think you figured them out, they'll hit you with a lineup you haven't even seen before. The scariest part, this team is still figuring out how to play together. They're already crushing teams, and they're not even at full potential yet. It's like watching a supervillain origin story, but instead of one bad guy, it's a whole team of them. But hold up, because as deep as this roster is, there's something even more terrifying brewing in Golden State. Something that's going to have opposing coaches tearing their hair out, trying to game plan against... You know how in horror movies, the monster always comes back stronger in the sequel? That's exactly what's happening with the Warriors' infamous death lineup. But here's the twist. This time, it's not just about who's on the court, it's about how they're playing together that's got the rest of the league shaking in their sneakers.
For the game, Clay and Wiggins can't hit a shot. And Steph Curry demoralized the number.
I mean, obviously your record is going to speak for itself. You have to be the team that you say you are by winning games, but I think...
Let's take a trip down memory lane. The original death lineup was like basketball's version of a perfect storm. You had Steph, Clay, Iggy, Draymond, and Harrison Barnes. These guys were so versatile. They could stretch the floor like silly putty. The ball moved faster than a pinball, and before you knew it, the scoreboard was lighting up like a Christmas tree. But now, the Warriors have cooked up something even scarier. Picture this: Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, and Jonathan Kuminga. It's like they took the original recipe and added a dash of super athlete. This lineup isn't just about shooting, it's a blend of sharpshooting, athleticism, and defense that's giving coaches nightmares. Each player in this new death lineup has a role that fits together like a jigsaw puzzle from hell. Steph's still the gravitational force that bends defenses. Clay's the silent assassin, ready to punish any defense that dares to forget about him. Wiggins brings that two-way punch, locking down on defense and slashing on offense. Draymond's the basketball genius, always 2 steps ahead. And Kuminga? He's the X Factor, a young gun with hops that make you question gravity. But it's not just about the players. It's how they play together that's pure basketball poetry. Take their high pick and roll with Curry and Green. It's simple, but it's lethal.
It still don't make no sense. It doesn't justify anything. And y'all won a lot of championship, but it was lame as...
Curry comes off the screen, and defenses have to make an impossible choice. Play up on Curry? He'll blow by you. Play back? He'll rain threes. Try to switch? Now you've got a mismatch that Green will exploit faster than you can say bucket. Opposing teams are trying everything to stop this lineup. Some are going big, hoping size will save them. But that's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. The Warriors just run circles around them, turning missed shots into fast breaks before the defense can even turn around. The craziest part? No one's figured out how to stop this yet.
13 guys that legitimately could be in our NBA rotation, and you got to be able to figure out the right combinations, and everybody has to commit to...
It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a roller coaster. Just when you think you've got one part figured out, the Warriors hit you with another wrinkle. But here's the kicker. The Warriors' dominance isn't just about their own strength. While they're getting stronger, something's happening to the rest of the West that's making Golden State look even scarier. Just when you thought the Warriors couldn't get any more dangerous, the rest of the West decided to hit the self-destruct button. From injuries to roster meltdowns, it's like every other contender forgot how to contend. And guess who's sitting pretty, ready to take advantage of all this chaos? Remember last season when the Western Conference was a gauntlet? Every game was a battle, and making the playoffs was like surviving a war. But now, It's like someone flipped a switch, and suddenly the Warriors are the only ones who remembered how to play basketball. Let's break it down. The Memphis Grizzlies? They're basically the Ja Morant show, and without him, they're in trouble. And guess what? Ja's already had a close call in the preseason. The Nuggets? Jamal Murray's not playing like the superstar they need him to be. Without Murray at his best, they're looking as beatable as they were when the Warriors took them down in 2022. It gets wilder. The Mavericks lost Derrick Jones Jr. and are relying on a 35-year-old Klay Thompson who's showing his age. The Pelicans? They're crossing their fingers that Zion can stay healthy for more than 5 minutes. And let's not forget the Timberwolves, who just lost Karl Anthony Towns. Without him, they're about as threatening as a kitten. Even the teams that should be good are falling apart. The Thunder added some solid role players, but they're worried their young stars might not develop. The Lakers? They're stuck in limbo with an aging LeBron and a ticking clock. And the Clippers? With Kawhi out and Harden pushing 35, they're looking more like a retirement home than a contender. But here's the kicker. All this chaos is playing right into the Warriors' hands. While everyone else is scrambling, Golden State's looking at a path to the finals that's smoother than Steph's jumper. It's like the basketball gods decided to roll out the red carpet just for them. Imagine the playoff matchups. The Warriors could steamroll through the first round, barely break a sweat in the second, and waltz into the conference finals, while other teams are still trying to figure out which way is up.
We're talking about the people on the Mount Rushmore of basketball are the only people that have the kind of game Steph Curry just had. So
It's not just that Golden State got better, it's that everyone else got worse. The craziest part? This might be the easiest road to the finals the Warriors have ever had. They're not just the best team in the West, they're the only team that looks like they've got their act together. It's like watching a chess master play against a bunch of kids who just learned the rules. But hold up, because as wild as all this is, there's one more thing that's making the Warriors look absolutely unstoppable. Something that's going to have fans of other teams wishing the season was already over. So, there you have it. The Warriors aren't just back. They've evolved into something even scarier than before. We're talking about a team that's got the rest of the league looking defeated before the season even tips off. It's not just hype either. Analysts are already predicting the Warriors are headed straight back to the NBA Finals. And can you blame them? With Steph playing like he's found the fountain of youth, a bench deeper than the Pacific, and a new death lineup that's giving coaches nightmares, who's gonna stop them? The scariest part? This team is still figuring things out. They're crushing souls now, but their best basketball might still be ahead of them. The NBA's worst nightmare isn't just back, it's mutated into a basketball-destroying monster. Buckle up, folks. This season's gonna be wild.